I'm always surprised by the amount of options guitar players have now. It seems like not that long ago, if you wanted an 8-string guitar, let alone an 8-string guitar with any specific features, you were gonna end up shelling out a lot of clams. That's the word for money, right? Cabbage? I'm getting really hung up on this. Let's just move on. What I'm trying to say is that they used to be really expensive, and in the late 2000s, a sort of extended range, low tuning explosion happened where you had bands coming out playing crazier and crazier guitars and lower tunings. And with this popularity, the major brands started offering more options for the average extended range genty boy, but a lot of these guitars were still on the more expensive, smaller runs side of things. However, now you can get a multi-scale, stainless steel fretted, reverse headstock having Chungus chug machine for a really affordable price, and today we are going to check out one of these offerings from Gear for Music. What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Taylor. Before we get started, this is a little bit outside my wheelhouse. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not really super familiar with 8-string guitars, let alone extended range fan fret 8-string guitars, so I'm going to do my best to give you all of my observations on this guitar and just kind of like demo it for you guys. But if I'm being real with you, I am a little bit outside my wheelhouse here. This thing just showed up in a massive box from the UK. I need to get it unboxed. I need to make room in my garage. There's a lot of things piling up out there. So we're gonna open this guy up. 2 boxes. Surprise, surprise. Come on. Come on. Okay, I actually don't think this is what I thought it was. Holy cow, that's a lot of cardboard. You can see why I had to open this one up. It's a lot of cardboard. I don't have very much living space here. You know what I mean? Gotta get these things opened up just to alleviate some space. The back of the guitar, yeah, obviously. Cardboard ring thingy that goes over the headstock, that's kind of cool. Protection. Holy shit, dude, this is not what I thought it was. Oh my God. I think they got the wrong YouTuber. I think they meant to send this to Andrew Bana. Look at this thing, dude. Holy Christ, man. What am I gonna do with an 8-string guitar? I barely get my hand on the frets, dude. But for real though, the build quality looks quite impressive. But let's not stop that from letting us have some fun here. You know what I mean? That's what we're doing. We're just chugging around. Okay, let me explain what this is and what's going on here. This is a Gear for Music guitar. Maybe some of you guys saw the last video I did with the Gear for Music like just a little bit ago. About this guitar as being a very nice guitar. Again, set up in E standard so I can do this. You guys seem to enjoy that video. I was pretty impressed with the Gear for Music guitar, so they asked me if they could send me a few more. So we have a few Gear for Music guitars that are gonna be on the channel later on towards the end of the year. But, you know, I thought we'd check this one out first because it's just like, I don't know, man, it's kind of crazy. Look at this thing, dude. It's a big guitar. It's a lot of guitar. It's a lot to handle. That's what she said. But I just thought this would be a lot of fun. It's kind of a unique and cool looking guitar, and Gear for Music really, like, you know, with the 2 guitars that I've checked out so far, like the last one and this one, seem to offer you a lot of value for your money because these are pretty like budgety type guitar. Let's just read the specs, right? This is a Gear for Music 529 Pro fan fret 8-string guitar in a gray Tide fade finish. That's a lot of words to say. It is a mahogany guitar with a poplar eye burl top and black binding. The scale length is 25.5 inches on the high string, 28 inches on the low string. It comes with a bolt-on 5-piece maple and artificial rosewood neck, a laurel fingerboard with a 16-inch radius, and a reverse headstock. Now the profile shape is listed as C. I will get into my thoughts on this here in the course of this video, especially as someone with small hands playing an 8-string guitar. And this guitar comes with 24 stainless steel, yes, you heard me correctly, stainless steel extra jumbo frets. We have 2 white ABS dots on the fretboard on the 12th fret, green lumen lace side dots. The guitar has a natural satin finish. We have a black bone nut with a width of 54 millimeters. On the electronic side of the guitar, our bridge pickup is a black passive ceramic high output humbucker, and the neck pickup is a black passive ceramic medium to high output humbucker, 1 volume knob, 1 tone knob, a 3-way toggle switch, and this whole package comes in at 299 pounds or $331.50 exactly at the time of making this video. So I would consider this an ultra budget guitar, especially for an 8-string. Like 8-string guitars are generally pretty expensive, I think, unless maybe I'm just like super out of touch or something. I don't know. I don't really look at 8-string guitars, like I don't like swoon over 8-string guitars or anything, but $331.50 for these specs on an 8-string guitar, it sounds like you get a lot for your money. So take that for what it's worth. Now, Gear for Music is a UK-based company. Keep that in mind, especially, you know, if you're in the US. said this in my previous video, and it's especially true with this guitar having the reverse headstock and being an extended range 8-string guitar, but they really remind me of like late 2000s, early 2010s era agile guitars, where if you were around for that era, you probably remember, but those guitars had really great specs for the money, and they kind of like gained this cult underground following just because you could get a lot of guitar for your dollars, you know? So I kind of see a very similar thing happening here with the Gear for Music guitars. Now, right away, just like with the other Gear for Music guitar, I'm pretty impressed with how it feels in the hands. There are no sharp fret edges. Everything is nice and smooth. Everything looks to be done correctly, I guess. You know, a lot of times, like when I get budget guitars to check out, like there's corners cut, literally and figuratively. But in this case, everything feels like it's done really well. And one thing that I can point to that really demonstrates that is if you look up here at the nut, a lot of major manufacturers do this when they have fan fret guitars. They will have like a 28-inch scale neck that's like this, and then they just put a bridge across it. And one of my friends lovingly dubbed this the triangle of shame, because what you end up with is you end up with this like weird looking out of place triangle behind the nut, where it looks like they just didn't finish. You paid for the guitar, so you get the extra fretboard too, I guess. I'm not really sure, but Gear for Music doesn't have that here. So, you know, to me, it looks like they paid attention to the details on this guitar. Like it's an aesthetically very pleasing to look at guitar, you know? Like with the burl top and everything, it's just, yeah, really nice. But let's move on to the sound quality and let me explain how I have everything set up, so you know what's going on here. I have the 8-string 529 Pro plugged into the Devil Overdrive pedal by my company, Obsidian Audio. I will get into this here and why I'm doing it in a minute, but that's plugged into my PRS MT15. And I know there are a lot of you that every time I make one of these videos, you want me to play through like a Boss Katana or some really budgety piece of gear, but this is all I had. This is what I have here. But for those of you that absolutely demand that I play through some sort of cheap piece of gear, we'll play through a free plugin towards the end of the video. But for right now, we're going through the PRS MT15, powering the Space 4x12 cabinet, mic'd up with an 𝐒𝐿 Electronics Voodoo Ribbon 1 microphone. This is what it sounds like. Now, this is probably very common with 8-string guitars. Like, I think it's common with guitars in general, but specifically 8-string guitars because of like the headstock length and the extra strings and stuff. There's a lot of string noise. And if you're trying to get those tight Meshuggah chugs, probably not gonna happen, you know, unless you like get a dirty stock and shove it behind the strings or whatever. You'll see all of these guitar devices that are made to do that. They're made to like sort of mute this string noise right here. I actually have one that I got from NAMM, from the Solar guitar booth. And while it's made for a 6-string guitar and it won't go across all the strings, it actually does a really good job of muting that string noise without being this obnoxiously sized, hideous thing on the headstock of your guitar. So, you know, I like these. Okay, so it's pretty easy to get that noise under control. Now, something that I'm not familiar with, and maybe if you have a lot of experience with, you know, 8-string guitars or like extended range guitars, maybe you can help me out with this down in the comments below. These pickups are very, very sensitive though. Like, I wouldn't call them microphonic because I'm not getting a bunch of feedback and weird noises from them. They're just very, very sensitive. And actually, let's go to a clean channel so that you can hear the pickups. So this is the bridge. I actually have no idea what to play on an 8-string to demo pickups, but you know, you get the idea, right? Let's go to the middle position. The middle position sounds very nice to me. It sounds very balanced. I just want to chug on this thing so bad. It's like, I can't help it. Hard to do clean pickup demos when you just want to go chug city all day. Okay, neck pickup. The neck pickup definitely is a little bit lower output there. Let's talk a little bit about the ergonomics too. The neck shape, it's listed as C, and I would say that this neck shape is very similar to the other Gear for Music guitar. That is to say, it's sort of like a thin C, but it's hard to tell, again, with the 8-string guitars because it's just outside my wheelhouse. Like, it feels very thin. It feels comfortable, especially for me being a non-8-string extended range player. I'm not having a tremendously hard time playing it with my little hands, but you know, it's got some girth to it.
That's what she said.
And I would say that especially, it's very subtle, but it does get a little bit thicker towards the heel of the guitar. Like it feels a little bit thinner down here and a little bit thicker up here. I don't know if that's super common. Again, you know, outside my wheelhouse. Sorry, guys. I'm just doing my best to explain things to you as I see them. Everything else on the guitar, very similar to the last Gear for Music guitar that I checked out. We have a belly cut here. We have these nice bevels in the horns. It feels very comfortable. The heel's rounded out. There is a little bit of a cutaway at the heel, but it's not dramatic. But, you know, for a bolt-on guitar, it feels good up here. There's a little bit of blocky heel thing happening if you're playing way up here. I don't know how many of you Gen G boys do the Weedly Wheeze all the way up here on these 8-string guitars, but you know, it's really not that bad. It's pretty comfortable for doing that. Speaking of chugs, let's go back to the chugs, yeah? Let's talk about these chugs a little bit. When it comes to super low tunings and extended range guitars and stuff like that, I know one of the challenges is to kind of get that low end under control. And one of the questions that I get all the time when it comes to the Devil Overdrive that I have here is how good it is at sort of like taming low end on really low tunings. And when I say very low tuned, you gotta understand that the guys who tune, like this is in drop E right now, you know, so it's like a full octave below. I mean, it's basically a standard bass plus an E standard guitar. You know what I'm saying? So when people ask those questions, those are the sort of tunings they're talking about. So like if you're sitting there like,
Taylor, what are you talking about, man? You're playing C standard. That's pretty low.
Dude, we're talking about different worlds here. You know, completely different cultures. So the extended range crowd, the gentlemen, as it were, a lot of them ask me if the Devil is good at getting that low end under control. And, you know, until I had this guitar, I really didn't have a way to test that out. You know, I think it does a pretty good job. Let's engage it. Now back to what I said about the pickups being very sensitive. Normally, I would have this noise gate like right here for EMGs. And you can hear it's not clamping down all the way. Like we got to turn up quite a bit to get it to clamp down all the way. So not a good or bad thing. It's just something you should know. Like the sensitivity's quite higher with these pickups. I would say it gets the low end under control, man. Now when it comes to pickups, again, I don't really have a huge frame of reference for this, but I think the pickups sound pretty good for what they are. I mean, you know, this guitar to me sounds like what I would expect a distorted 8-string guitar to sound like. And take this for what it's worth, take this with a big grain of salt. I have a 7-string guitar that I just put pickups in, and it was a lot of fun to play that guitar and get it out and play a 7-string guitar. Like, it feels kind of novel a little bit sometimes, but this feels like almost a completely different instrument. Like I see more value in having a guitar like this around just because it does such a completely different thing than the rest of the guitars that I have. I mean, we're in E. If we wanted to, we could. You know, it's kind of cool, man. I don't know. And you know, on the off chance that 𝐒𝐿𝐴 ever comes calling, well, hey, I got an 8-string guitar in drop E. That's not gonna happen. But I would say that if you want to get this low end under control, and it probably doesn't just apply to this, I'm assuming this would apply to any 8-string guitar. Like if you want to get the low end and the noise under control, something dampening the string noise behind the nut is going to be super necessary. And then also having something to kind of like sculpt the low end, like on the Devil Overdrive by my company, Obsidian Audio, link in the description, by the way. But like on the Devil Overdrive, we have this girth knob, which is essentially a low filter. It just makes it a little bit easier to get note clarity and not just have the chugs just totally overpower everything when you're doing like the. Let's just go directly into a plugin for those of you that want to hear it. I gotta run this cable over here. Okay, we're using the Amped Roots plugin. This is what it sounds like. You know, I'm really glad that I did this because looking at my meters over there, the output on these pickups is not very high. It's actually pretty low compared to what I'm used to. So I have to circle back around to something that I said. The output on these pickups is not what's incredibly high, it's like the sensitivity of the pickups. Again, they feel very sensitive, not in a microphonic way, but I'm looking at the meter right now and I wonder if I could tune this up in a standard tuning and you know, it's actually a little bit easier for me to play it in a standard tuning, oddly. Let's plug back into the PRS here. I don't know how to play this song on an A string. All right, let me try and collect all of my thoughts from this video, especially for those of you that like didn't watch the video and just skipped to this part so that you could hear my thoughts on this thing. I think that the Gear for Music stuff is really cool. I like everything that I've checked out so far. I like the last guitar I tried. I like this one. I'm stoked to check out the other two that are sitting in my garage in boxes right now. But I think what they offer is a really, really great value, especially for those of you that live in the UK and it's domestic. I mean, 299 pounds. I don't know what a gallon of milk costs, or your liter. Do you buy liters of milk? Whatever. I don't know what a liter of milk is or like what the, you know, equivalent is, but in dollars, in terms of dollars, it being $331. Fan frets, stainless steel frets, by the way, reverse headstock, lumen side dots. The pickups, I'm not sure about. I don't know if I could give these a glowing recommendation. I don't really know what great 8-string pickups sound like that fit in slots. I would need to do my research on this a lot more before I was like, oh, the pickups are fantastic. So take that with a grain of salt. Maybe they're awesome. Maybe for this price you could justify upgrading them if you want. I just really don't know. Those of you that play 8-string guitars, extended range, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really interested to hear what you think. I like the shape of the guitar. I like the 529 shape, just like on the 6-string that I checked out. I think it's cool. It's like a super strap, but it's slightly offset. It's comfortable. It's got bevels and contours in all the right places. And I think that the comparison that I made to Agile, you know, circa 2009, 2010 is really relevant here too, because, you know, being in the US at that time, like those guitars were everywhere. They had such a huge underground following because of what they offered you for the value. And like, there weren't just a lot of guitars doing what they were doing. Reverse headstocks, and I think they had stainless steel frets. I can't remember on that one, but like reverse headstocks, extended ranges, 7, 8-string, 9-string guitars, you know, there just wasn't a lot of that around back then. And I think it's really cool that Gear for Music is offering affordable options with those specs, and also just with a quality instrument. I'm probably gonna keep this around. You will probably see this on the channel in the future once I figure out how to play it. All right, shout out to Gear for Music for sponsoring this video, but more importantly, shout out to you for being here with me. I really appreciate every single one of you, man. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you really like what I do here on my channel, consider subscribing or joining these beautiful people over here on Patreon, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.